Get the latest news and keep up to date with information about Soba America on Soba America TV.
Welcome. We are going through tumultuous times, here at home and abroad. The real question is, where is home and where is abroad? Let's do the news update. The 2020 mini convention was scheduled to be in Detroit, Michigan from November 13th to 15th of this year. The current COVID-19 pandemic threats and national regulations has forced the administration to cancel the convention. The safety of Sobans and their families continues to be a priority in the minds of the Forte administration. As an attempt to continue Soba America business activities, a virtual mini convention has been scheduled for Saturday, November 14th, 2020 at 11 a.m. Eastern. Responding to the threats and consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic is a new normal for the current administration. CFO Rodolphe Inoni has been working hard to ensure that all those eligible to receive the Soba America COVID-19 stimulus check do so. He has been working with chapter presidents to ensure that we have the correct demographic information so Sobans can get their checks. Listen to this combined report by our very own Pascal Sama Babbitt. Pascal?
Emmanuel, despite the cancellation of events across the US, Canada, and around the world, the Forte administration and the leadership of Soba America continues to muscle and flex their efforts to ensure that the business activities of Soba America continues as usual. In a message released in October of this year, President Dr. Bertrand Forte of Soba America outlined in details some of the activities which Soba America has been engaged in during this pandemic time. The President also outlined updated activities which his administration has been engaging, combating, and muscling on behalf of Soba America during this pandemic time. Here is more to that story. The Forte administration is announcing the creation of two task teams comprised of Sobans to help target and address two vital issues at the core of Soba America. The two task teams are the Membership Engagement Task Team and the St. Joseph's College Vision Task Team. These teams were created as a follow-up to the last convention to boost membership and expand the vision and accomplishments of Soba America. Under the leadership of Vice President Felix Ngasa, the St. Joseph's College SASE Vision Task Team shall explore ideas and suggestions on how SASE College can be rebranded, restructured, so that it can have a new facelift to create a historic and beautiful landmark that is self-sustaining. The team will explore ideas and suggestions on how Soba America and other Sobans can engage, partner, and work with St. Joseph's College SASE authorities to achieve this set goal mentioned above. The team is being challenged to come up with bold out-of-the-box ideas. You can reach out to any of the team's members with your thoughts and bold out-of-the-box ideas. You can contact Vice President Felix Ngasa, the chairperson. Just as how thousands of administrations across the US and Canada have responded to the COVID-19 pandemic, That's how the Forte administration is equally doing the same for Soba America. The Chief Financial Officer, Rudolph Enoni, has been working hard to ensure that all those eligible to receive the Soba America COVID-19 stimulus checks get their checks. He has been working with chapter presidents to obtain the correct demographic information so that Sobans can get their checks. About 90% of the work has been done with this process, and the Chief Financial Officer is wrapping up on this project in the few days to come. Emmanuel, the leadership of Soba America under President Dr. Bertrand Forte continues their effort to muscle forward the activities of Soba America despite the COVID-19 pandemic. The administration's handling of Soba America's activities during this pandemic has been guided by two principles. First, the health and well-being of Sobans and their family is being taken into consideration, and also the financial impact of the COVID-19 on Sobans and their family is being taken into consideration. Reporting for Soba America TV, I'm Pascal Babitsama. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Pascal. In just a matter of months, an epidemic grew into a pandemic that now affects every facet of our lives. The need for social distancing has led many Sobans to wonder how will the Forte administration respond to traditional Soba America activities. Connecting with Sobans directly in their communities continues to be a challenge. It is this challenge that has forced Dr. Forte to turn to Zoom. Listen to this report by MC Chipano. Mr. MC?
On Saturday, September 12, 2020, the Forte administration organized one of its quarterly Zoom call meetings. This meeting is in an effort to fulfill its policy of open-door communication and transparency. Sobans had an opportunity to discuss pertinent issues pertaining to Soba America. Here's how that meeting, organized by President Forte, went down. Many Sobans joined the Zoom call, which lasted 90 minutes. Sobans were engaged as they shared ideas on how to continue the transformation of Soba America. They also asked the president many questions and engaged him on a wide range of topics, ranging from the upcoming Soba General Assembly in Sase College on November 7, 2020, to important Soba America matters, including the administration's COVID-19 stimulus check and overall response. The president also laid out some initiatives that his administration is currently working on. He also advised Sobans not to let their guard down with respect to social distancing and face covering as we continue to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. This Zoom call meeting was definitely a resounding success. Designed to discuss about Soba America, and it definitely met its purpose. Reporting for Soba America TV network, I am Kango Chipano, aka MC Chipano. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. MC. You are watching Soba America TV News Update, the pinnacle of diaspora news. Don't go away. Preserving the integrity and security of the Soba DMV elections remained the top priority for the outgoing chapter president Ekole Fonjongo. On July 26th of this year, Sobans in the DMV elected their new leadership team. It has been 8 long years for the outgoing chapter president, who was first the Secretary General and then president for the past 4 years. Under his leadership, the chapter was able to experience substantial growth in membership and, most importantly, an increase in member participation and camaraderie from Sobans, Sobanese and their families. It was his main objective to preside over a peaceful transition of leadership without experiencing the impact of division that had plagued the chapter in recent elections.
We come together in moments like this to show the world what it means to be a Soba. The values that we share, the values of hard work and family, of empathy, of self-reliance, but the value we say that all of our voices have to be heard. Soba has spoken tonight, and I want to join everyone, each and every one of you, to thank the next president of Soba Rana.
Here is what the new chapter president Rudolph Inoni had to say shortly after he was elected.
Campaign, you said you work for Sobans and the ones that voted for you and the ones that did not vote for you. It is very clear from the results. It was quite impressive, but tell that there were some Sobans that did not vote for you. So what do you think of doing in incorporating the agenda that those that did not vote for you voted for?
Absolutely. I'm going to actually reach out to those Sobans who did not vote for me and touch base with them to get an idea as to what they would like to see this administration do for Soba DMV in general. But in addition to that, I also want to bring them onto the team because they have a very vital role. There may be certain things that they don't agree with my campaign or how I plan on approaching things, but I have to also work with them to ensure that DC grows to an even stronger chapter. So they are definitely going to play a very pivotal role in my administration in allowing us to be able to grow and grow to new heights. They are very essential. Without them, I wouldn't be here because if I had 100% of their votes, it would be something different. But because I didn't get that, it means that I still have some work to do. And it starts with getting them on board and understanding their concerns and making sure that their concerns are addressed in a systematic and structured manner so that Soba DMV can get to new and bigger heights.
Soba Mar, a chapter for Sobans who live in areas that do not have a traditional chapter, started its resurgence with the election of its leadership team. On September 27th, Soba Mar elected a 3-man executive team with President Edmund Bo at the helm. Soban Godlove Nokwe was elected secretary and Soban Namaya Ayo Sr. was elected its treasurer. President Bo has been mobilizing his team as they ratify their chapter bylaws and started holding regular monthly virtual meetings.
Hello, this is Mbu Edmond, president of Soba Ma. Our main goal will be to grow the chapter. Currently, we have over 22 new members listed within the Soba Ma, the members at large chapter. We believe we can grow that chapter. There is a potential, as there are a lot of Sobans all over North America who are too far from the nearest chapter to be able to fraternize and mix with their brothers. So Soba Ma provides that outlet for them. There is a potential to actually double the membership, if I may be so daring. And then there is also the fact that once we've got them all in there, individually, we all have this vision of what we want to do for Sergio's Call. It's projects we've got in our mind, little things that we think we can do to move the school forward. And as a chapter, we will provide a home for those ideas and a conduit for those ideas. We'll look to, at some point, start doing putting those ideas to paper, and then look to fundraise and start carrying out our own projects locally, making our mark within Sergio's call. So over the next year and a half, 2 years, we would look to Sobama to start making waves in that direction, putting projects in Sase, especially now that the school has reopened, students have come back. There is a lot of work to be done to help the school move forward. So, as a chapter, those are some of the things we're going to be looking at to make our mark as a new chapter. Thank you.
On the 12th of this month, Sobans in Canada joined the Canadians in celebrating Thanksgiving. This year's Thanksgiving celebrations had a different flair to it, as Canada, like the rest of the world, continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic. Social distancing rules and other restrictions aimed at curbing the pandemic meant this year's Thanksgiving was lower key than usual. Sobans celebrated with family for the most part. Sobans in the United States poured Thanksgiving messages to our Canadian brothers in our Soba America Telegram forum. The census was 110. In 1980, a group of young lads started college life in Sase College. 40 years later, they came together with a bold idea to commemorate the milestone. After several visits and consultations with the school authorities, the idea of the extension of the water project was conceived. On a special and exclusive report for Soba America TV network, here is Tanya Chinje. Tanya?
Thank you, Emmanuel. This special day of commemoration marks the 40th anniversary of entry for the class of 1980 in St. Joseph College, Sase. The so-called group DARE, led by Dr. Kenneth Foncha, made sure to usher in this new phase in the spirit of giving back, with an ambitious plan to extend the college's water supply network.
No easy feat, the work of bringing this project to fruition included deferring the celebratory reunion until 2021, deciding from a short list of projects, then planning, executing, and maintaining, all while respecting guidelines and budgeted funds. Following the selection of a carefully curated project committee, the decision to adopt the water supply project stemmed from initial visits to the place where it all started, and a quick realization that the existing water system only served some staff facilities and the refectory. With 7 dormitories, several main institutional facilities, a refectory with external pantry and kitchen, as well as the staff accommodations, it was soon made clear that those bare pipe connections were woefully insufficient. And thus came the inception of the project. The initial goal at the onset of the project was to connect all 7 dormitories to the recently installed water supply system, as well as incorporate 4 water reservoirs with a total capacity of 20,000 liters. A more conclusive assessment of potential contributions forced a change to the scope of the project. The water reservoirs were seen as a less pressing need and would only be erected according to available funds. Instead, the more critical infrastructure, namely the 3 pipelines which would connect the 7 dorms to the refectory, was prioritized. As the excavation work began, the dire situation of the pantry, which unearthed subpar pipeline connections and non-functional taps, added to the project's purview and jumped the line ahead of even the water reservoirs. The kitchen and the pantry were added to the list of connections for the 3 pipelines. A budget of 5.5 million francs CFA was applied to the project, with the caveat for variable items which would be included depending on available funds. The water reservoirs were always in the minds of this altruistic group of individuals, and they still budgeted 2 water reservoirs as a start, with the hopes of reaching the targeted 4 should there be any residual funds. Work began in true Sasses style with a blessing of the excavation site led by Bishop Bibi. The planning and execution occurred in well-defined phases, starting with a site and staff visit. The next phase followed careful landmark planning and the actual digging and partitioning. Next came the installation of the pipelines and reservoirs. Once installation was deemed complete, there was rigorous water testing and safety assessments. The project phases were then concluded by installing final fixtures and design elements. And no chance of leaving the job incomplete, the dedicated staff made sure to leave a maintenance schedule as well. This project was truly a historic moment for this school. The determination of the personnel to conduct the given task as efficiently as possible was evident by the timeliness with which the project was finalized. With the exception of a water pump not being successfully installed, the project was reported as having been accomplished without incident. The issue with the water pump was discovered as workers attempted to extract the existing pump but found it blocked due to debris and deposits. The existing pump was still functional, but it was slow. Either way, they decided to leave it alone. Hard work paid off. The water supply project initiated by the class of 1980 and the group DARE was completed under budget at an impressive show of moderation in the amount of 4,133,200 francs CFA. And good news all around, all 4 water reservoirs were able to be installed. Reporting for Soba America TV, I am Tanya Chinje.
In other college news, the sick bay project has been completed and handed over to the college authorities. We will have more to those stories in our subsequent broadcasts. Please watch this space.
Do you know how to do all the mixing? All this Auntie's Puff Puff mix. Auntie's Puff Puff mix.
I created Auntie's Puff Puff Mix 6 years ago. I did not have any time to do another YouTube trial and error recipe. And I was like, why is there no mix on the market? And so that's how Auntie's Puff Puff Mix was born 6 years ago. And since then, it has been an instant hit. It will make your kitchen the center of attention. And what really grabbed people's attention was the instantaneous mix. But what kept them coming was the delicious taste. I mean, it is perfect sweetness, perfect savory taste. It is crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. It is just delicious. And so right now, Puff Puff is the it factor.
On Saturday, November 7th, Soba will have a new general president. Outgoing President Professor Ephraim Guafo announced his plans to not seek re-election several months ago, sparking a contest between Soban Ayok Iyok and Soban John Kameni to replace him. The 2 presidential candidates have been visiting different chapters across Cameroon to take their cases to the voters. Soba America TV caught up with the candidates in the middle of a tough campaign for the President General of Soba.
I'm a lawyer by profession, and you all know that I'm a married man with two beautiful daughters. One is also having a master's degree in law from the University of Coventry in the UK. I am a lawyer, and as a lawyer, I offer pro bono services. By pro bono, we mean free services. And first thing I want to say is that all my services as the President General of Soba will be free, which means I'll dedicate my time, my effort, and my energy to make sure that Soba moves to a higher step. What are my prospects for Soba? Soba will be all-inclusive, Soba will be more sustainable, and will create projects that will employ younger Sobans. My vision about Soba is the harmonious insertion of younger Sobans into the general Soba system. It has been so belittling that most young Sobans find themselves so out of touch because we look at Soba as something for the old. I'll unite Soba. I'll make sure that we create projects. For example, the land which was bought by Colonel Balemba, whom I salute his services, we will use that land to build a Soba hotel. That hotel is a must-do because there's supposed to be a point of meeting of all Sobans. And it will also create employment for Sobans who are in both the entertainment and the tourism business. We'll also use that same hotel to build a hall where Sobans can be organizing their meetings and where you can organize events. I do not like the effect that Sobans organize meetings in people's houses. Once you have a Soba home or a Soba house or a Soba hotel, there is a point where every Soban can meet another one. We'll create an agricultural program. This agricultural program will definitely be in liaison with an agricultural institution in Cameroon, which I have already talked to because I want to hit the tarmac running and I could be judged in the next 6 months. That will create agricultural job for Sobans. I will also, I'm talking about the 6 months project first. I will do a constitutional review whereby Soba will not have the lot of bureaucratic red tapes that exist. Soba should be a federal-run association where the chapters are autonomous with reference and reporting to the central Soba General. There, you cannot have issues coming from east and west without the Soba General knowing what's happening. Finally, I will make sure that Soba looks into its brand name. Nobody can use the name of Soba without us knowing what is trickling into the Soba coffers, because we need to take advantage of our brand name and make our alumni association a bigger, better, and stronger one.
Thank you. Mr. Ayub Ayok, what are the key elements for your vision for Soba General?
Good morning. Thank you, Soba USA. My name is Ayub Ayok. I'm married with 4 sons in the university in the United Kingdom and United States. They are United Kingdom and United States. I'm running for office of President General of Soba General. My vision for Soba is just basically 2 things. To enhance the Soba brand, that is, take the dynamism of the young people, put it together with the experience and wisdom of the elders to develop Soba, develop ourselves personally, and develop the community in which we live. Secondly, to develop Sasa College. If you go to Sasa College, there's a lot of work to be done on the infrastructure. Secondly, that's what I'll do. Those 2 things I think are the core to build ourselves and to build Sasa College.
What makes you feel you're the best candidate to be the next president of Soba General?
Yes, I think I'm the best candidate because 1, I have a track record of things I've done for Sasa College. I have a track record of things I've done for my own personal self in leadership. I've been a member of Junior Chamber Association, Junior Chamber International, which is an association of young people between the ages of 18 and 40. I've been president of Junior Chamber Cameroon, vice president for West Africa,
and Executive Vice President for Africa and the Middle East. In that light, I've been a true and tested leader. In leadership for Sase College, I've been a leader of my class, and in being a leader of class, we've done a lot of projects, and I've been involved in the 75th anniversary. I was vice chair of the organizing committee. So those are leadership positions.
Soba America TV network will broadcast in a special report prior to the elections, where the entirety of these interviews will be aired. Sobans are mobilizing from all corners of the globe as they prepare to converge on the campus of St. Joseph's College, Sase, on November 7th for the Soba General Assembly. It promises to be a great event as the excitement and energy builds up every day. The African diaspora in the United States is mobilizing voter drives as organizers believe next Tuesday is a time for these voters to flex their muscles as never before and make their voices heard in the American political process. According to the U.S. Census figures from 2018, there were 2.5 million foreign-born Africans in the United States. Overall, 50.6% of immigrants to the U.S. are naturalized citizens, and 94.4% of them are at least 18 years of age and likely have the rights to vote. The diverse and dispersed nature of the African population has made it hard for African voters to organize. It is for this reason that political action groups like the U.S. Cameroon Democracy Network has emerged. What is the U.S. Cameroon Democracy Network?
It is a newly founded action network for political and civic engagement by members of the Cameroonian diaspora and Friends of Cameroon.
What will you say to those with the mindset that this is just another channel to promote homeland propaganda?
I'm glad you asked. There are always skeptics, right? But rest assured, this organization focuses on advocating on those issues that impact the lives of Cameroonian Americans here in the United States. But just so we are clear, if there are policy issues, be it domestic policy or foreign policy, that impact the lives of members of our community, absolutely, we will definitely mobilize and request that our community members support our positions.
Is this organization just limited to Cameroonians here in the diaspora?
Not at all. Primarily, it's been founded by members of the Cameroonian diaspora, but eventually we hope to attract other Africans, other friends of goodwill who care about the issues that are dear to our lives. We welcome everybody.
The U.S. Cameroon Democracy Network thrives to promote, strengthen, and protect the United States and Cameroonian people's alliances in ways that enhance democratic values and economic development in the United States and Cameroon. This network will crave the indulgence of decision makers about the values that unite the people of Cameroon and the United States with the idea that it is in America's best interest to help ensure democracy, good governance, and peace in Cameroon and the surrounding region. U.S. CAM Network is calling on African communities in general and Cameroonian Americans in particular to come together as one The 2010 U.S. Census estimated 17,000 Americans of Cameroonian origin live in the United States. Today, we can estimate about 85,000 and over 40,000 of them citizens who are eligible to vote for this year's election. The winner of the 2020 presidential election will be determined by voter turnout in top battleground states: Wisconsin, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, and Minnesota, with vibrant Cameroonian communities. Whether it be in health, safety, racial injustice, immigration, or economic security, our communities are the most impacted by the ever-changing landscape of these crucial issues. In unity, our call to action is for all of us, you, me, and especially those of us in battleground states, to register and vote, because the future of our growing immigrant families depends on the outcome of this year's elections. Unquestionably, immigrants will compose a greater share of the population in the years to come. Immigrants themselves are clearly taking the lead, and with improvements to our political structure and civic infrastructure, they will flourish and contribute to the well-being of all Americans.
Time is against us, but we believe that it's never too late. Rather than do nothing, let's do something. The last election cycle, the outcome was very close, especially with the battleground states. So we want to get involved in our own little way. It will be a good start. So what we're saying is encouraging our community members to get out there first, register, and make sure you vote on November 3rd.
I gave a little blood on that bridge in Selma, Alabama for the right to vote. I am not going to stand by and let the Supreme Court take away that right to vote away from us. Congressman John Lewis, make sure you vote. That concludes our broadcast. Thank you for watching.
L&B Concepts, luxury rental services designed with quality in mind. L&B Concepts has redefined event planning to meet the challenges that most event planners face. Their on-site and computer-generated event planners are ready to fulfill every client expectation. Dealing directly with manufacturers is a guarantee of specifications. Their customers enjoy an extensive variety of luxury rental equipment. Its mission is centered on excellent customer service to ensure that dreams are turned into reality. If you conceptualize it, we can create it. L&B Concepts embodies class with distinct attributes. The best of cleaning methods with Ecolab. Extremely competent. Their dedicated employees put great effort to preserve this luxury rental equipment. Luxury requires care. Class commands attention. L&B Concepts. Classic presentation. Dynamic. L&B Concepts. Characterized to accommodate every client's imagination. Hygiene is health. Skilled professionals. Reputable and affordable. L&B Concepts closely collaborates with event planners to turn imagination to actuality. L&B Concepts, where a party comes to life. L&B Concepts. If you fantasize it, we will fulfill it. If you delight in it, we will deliver it. If you visualize it, we will validate it. If you conceptualize it, we will create it. If you take pleasure in it, we will plan it. If you imagine it, we will indulge it. Dedication, grandeur, sophistication. L&B Concepts.
Hi, welcome to another edition of St. Joseph's College Sase Corner. I am your host, Clifford Ako. In today's edition, we take a close look at the band project that saw Soba America give the state-of-the-art band and orchestra to St. Joseph's College Sase on August 15, 2020. President Emeritus Mafani Itoe presented the gift comprised of over 70 professional-grade equipment and a 75-piece uniform sent to the principal of St. Joseph's College Sase, with the proprietor Bishop Michael Bibi and some students on hand to witness the event. The band project was the brainchild of the Itoe administration. The idea came to light in October 2017 when the then President Mafani Itoe and Vice President Bertrand Forte visited St. Joseph's College Sase for the first ever Soba America Day event. Soba America Day is an annual event during which Soba America treats the students to a special meal, organizes a career and counseling session with the graduating classes, and presents scholarships to over 50 students. Unfortunately, after the first Soba America Day, the annual event was put on hold due to the current Anglophone crisis. President Forte has expressed his desire and commitment to reignite this annual event as soon as possible. On that day, what Emeritus Itoe and President Forte saw in Sase was simply painful to bear.
So back in 2016, when Emeritus Itoe and I went to Sase College for our first annual Soba America Day, while we're in front of the bishop's house, we saw 4 students come up with some band equipment, 2 drums, 1 bugle, and 1 cymbal, and started playing. And they were welcoming Bishop Bushu and St. Raj as she came. We thought that was cool. That was how they welcomed the bishop. And at that time, we felt maybe this was just a part of the band, to do this ceremony. But after the event, we spoke to the students to congratulate them on what they had done. And they told us that that was the entire band. That was what was left of the band in Sase College. 2 drums, 1 bugle, 1 snare. We knew that something had to be done. At that point, Emeritus Itoe said, you know what? That would be his final act to make sure that Sase College has a state-of-the-art band. We wanted to make sure that we could restore that flair, that reputation that Sase College had always enjoyed of having one of the best bands in town. And so this band project was born because of that. When we were in Sase, Sobans helped us and gave us a good state-of-the-art band. It was our time to do the same thing. And so this band project was born.
After that discovery, the Itoe administration set to motion. St. Joseph's College Sase needed to get back to its glory days of having one of the best bands during Youth Day parades in Bongo Square. St. Joseph's College Sase needed a new state-of-the-art band. Then President Itoe knew his team would need to embark on a serious fundraising campaign to raise the amount of money needed for a state-of-the-art band. Then VP Forte was already leading the administration's scholarship endowment fund project with a lofty goal of raising $250,000. President Itoe therefore created a band project committee to oversee the project. He tapped then Soba America Treasurer to chair the fundraising phase of the project. He tapped Emeritus Quintus Eno and Emeritus Nick Eno to chair the implementation phase of the project, given their experience in purchasing the previous band for St. Joseph's College Sase that had been donated by then Soba USA in the early 1990s. Sobans, Sobanese, and other patrons were part of this committee. Many Sobans and Sobanese, locally and internationally, contributed generously along with other patrons. Over $45,000 was raised. After a successful fundraising effort, state-of-the-art band and orchestra equipment, including accessories and storage gear, was purchased mostly from Guitar Center in Michigan. An elegant 75-piece set of band uniforms was also added to the mix to complement the band. The band and orchestra equipment was shipped to a warehouse in Dallas, Texas, where it was stored before being shipped to Cameroon. It stayed in the warehouse for about 7 months due to delays in delivery of some of the equipment. Some instruments sent in error had to be corrected,
while some simply took a while to be sent from the manufacturers. Booking for shipment could only be made after all the equipment ordered had been received and verified.
It was shipped to Cameroon on September 26, 2019 and arrived at the Douala port on November 9, 2019. Clearing the ban from the port proved to be a daunting ordeal complicated by bureaucracy in Cameroon and the COVID-19 pandemic. Frustrated by lack of movement, Emeritus Itowe flew to Cameroon in December 2019 with the goal of facilitating removal of the ban from the port and delivery to Sase. He sacrificed 8 months of his life in Cameroon, working for the most part on behalf of Soba America at his expense, risking his business and his life as the COVID-19 pandemic met him there, trying to get the container to clear customs. He enlisted help from influential sources, including Bishop Bibi. It was a frustrating experience.
As you know, it's not Soba America's first time of shipping a container of freighting goods to Sase, to Cameroon. But what happened this time is we never knew our donation, the band equipment and the orchestra, is not currently considered based on Cameroon law as educational worthy equipment, which we warranted to have 100% custom free. So what happened is when we shipped the things, we did follow the normal protocol we do. We sent the information about the container to our team in Cameroon, and we're also convinced. We sent it a couple of weeks actually before the container, after the container left here. And so they got it on time, and we were just surprised when they went to pick it up to go and start the clearing process, and they told us our goods don't qualify as educational goods. So it led to a back and forth with the customs, because initially they said just to help us or give us just 25% off. We had to fight, and then they went up a little bit to 50% off the duty, which was still going to be a lot, because in order to give to benefit from the full exoneration, you have to give the package list, your receipts and everything. And they were in their possession, they had things which were bought which was worth way over $35,000. And if you look at that and see the charge customs, which in some cases can be up to 70%, 50%, and with other fees, they were going to charge us quite a lot. So we decided to fight it out and try and figure a way out. And fortunately, with the contacts we have back home and using some Sobans and other connections, we are able to have an audience with the Minister of Finance, and then later with the Director General of Custom, who was very helpful. And after that process, they were able to finally give us 100% exoneration. However, this process took time because there was a period where there were elections in Cameroon, and before we got towards the end, there was COVID. Then again, COVID also now created further restrictions where all the places like Mahesh, all those offices, you can't go there, see people, everything was done by email, and there were limitations. So things which used to take a couple of days to do were taking like 3 weeks. And containers which were prioritized were those bringing things related to COVID. So all this thing pulled on for a while. And then, but however, if you look at the overall picture of what we're going to spend, where we could go way over 12 million on average for this container, and given the reductions we're able to get and the contacts we're able to use, Soba America was able to knock off more than 8 million in the excessive fees of demurrage and lateness and all those things. And overall, the thing came to be a pretty modest amount, where we overall might have spent close to, it was probably about 5 to 6 or something million on the entire clearing process, which is a lot cheaper. However, we learned an important lesson that we can't just seem to assume that everything is an educational price good and you just get it for free because you're donating to a school. So we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Soban Juzi Asongani, who was the main MVP player in this whole ordeal and who helped knock off almost all of the lateness charges and demorages on this donation. We also want to thank Soban, Soban is popularly known as Pop Soul of the 95 class, who was a clearing agent on this. He also did a phenomenal job, you know, as well as all the other Sobans who participated at some point during this clearing exercise. So overall, it went rough. It took a longer time than expected, but the delay was primarily caused because we wanted to reduce the expenditure on Soba America. It was a decision in consultation with the president of Soba America because we knew we were going to spend over 12 to 15. However, spent well less than that. So overall, it ended up well.
I go by name Amingwa Dennis Kemasong. I'm Soban of the 95 batch. I'm CEO of Universal Transit, a company based in Douala. We are into custom clearance and freight forwarding. It was a privilege to handle this shipment that was destined to Sase, my alma mater. But unfortunately, things didn't go well as planned. We had some difficulties to obtain the exoneration at the level of Yaoundé to obtain 100%. We had some drawbacks when the container got here to obtain the exoneration, since it was a gift and it was supposed to be duty free. Secondly, with this current pandemic going on, the COVID-19, it wasn't COVID-19 to say, it wasn't easy going around doing the clearance formalities because when this container, when we were clearing it, most of the offices were shut down because of the pandemic. So stuff that we could take about 2 or 3 days to do it, we took about a week, 2 or 3 to handle it. And at the level of when demurrage at the shipping line, because of the COVID pandemic, it wasn't easy going around asking for exoneration. Thanks to my fellow classmate Soba Asongani, who used to work at the shipping line here in Cameroon, who is now based in South Africa. He helped us. He was very instrumental for us to obtain the discount we got to get the container out. And unfortunately, again, this Bolloré, the French company that handles stevedoring at the seaport, has been replaced with a local company called RTC. So when the container got here, the RTC, as per moment, they don't issue discounts for stationnement. So we had to pay the stationnement for the container 100%. So luckily enough that Asongani helped us and we obtained some advantages at the level of the shipping line, which is Maize. So again, once more, it was a pleasure and privilege to clear a container that was destined to my alma mater. I salute you all. Thank you.
Despite these enormous sacrifices, some Sobans grew impatient and started asking questions. While initial inquiries by Sobans and donors as to the status of the project were reasonable and understandable, a sense that some probably had an ulterior agenda quickly became apparent to a silent majority. Some Sobans who were an integral part of the band project committee started asking questions similarly to create a false narrative to plant doubts in the minds of Sobans and donors. Some ignored the fact that a preliminary report was sent to donors in individual emails in October and November of 2019, detailing the project, up to the point of pending shipment, and summaries of the project were published in the 2019 National Convention magazine. It was also shared at the 2019 mini convention in Phoenix, Arizona, shared at the NEC meetings for chapter presidents to update their members, and shared by the president of Soba America in at least 2 of his monthly personal email messages to Sobans. They claimed there has been no communication regarding the ban, creating a narrative that sowed doubts in the minds of some. Some went as far as claiming that Emeritus Itoe, whose personal sacrifice was instrumental in getting the ban cleared from customs, was in Cameroon because he wanted to run for political office in Cameroon. Despite all the negative narrative from a few on conspiracy theories, Emeritus Itoe remained steadfast in his quest to see this project to completion. He made good of his pledge that he would stay in Cameroon until the ban was delivered to Sase. In the dark of night of August 12th, the container carrying the state-of-the-art ban was trucked to St. Joseph's College, Sase. This was done at night due to security concerns. After consulting with President Forte, the decision was made to have a low-key handing over ceremony with only a few students and St. Joseph's College Sase authorities present out of abundance of caution, given the current climate in Cameroon. Security concerns were key to this decision, as the media, public, or even donors were not made aware
until after the ceremony had taken place on August 15, 2020.
I'm very grateful to Soba America for having this initiative to donate the ban to the students, as we are all gearing up towards having the students back on campus come the next academic year. I think it will be a bolster to each and every one of them to have this ban that will help them as far as their training in this college is concerned. I know to have made a donation of this magnitude, it is due to the sacrifices that the Sobans in the US have and the love that they have for their alma mater, especially for the young ones who are going to benefit from it. I just wish on behalf of the Diocese of Boya to render immense gratitude to them and to pray that God may continue to bless each and every one of them, reward them and their family members, and that we will continue to work with them, to collaborate with them, so that Soba will continue to grow from strength to strength, and that the young students who are in school now will be able to look up to them, copy from their examples as they become responsible citizens tomorrow in our country and out of the country.
Soba America. It was a decision in consultation with the president of Soba America, because we knew we were going to spend over 12 to 15. However, spent well less than that, so overall it ended up well. I want to also take this opportunity to thank all the band donors. Without them, this project wouldn't have come to fruition. As you know, personally, the NLT personally contacted all these donors on a one-on-one basis in a way where we're not trying to pull any money from our coffers. We met people, we talked to them, and those who were interested in donating, they made moves and pledged to donate, and overall they donated. And that's why in our our DC 2019 convention, we recognized them on the cover of the magazine, and we gave everybody a plaque of recognition in Boston. So I want to thank all of them. Without them, this project wouldn't have come to an end. And also the members of the 84 class who partnered with us, and we got a lot of donations from that class, even from out of the US. We also got donations from the President General of Soba and a few other Sobans from abroad. So they made this project come, and so we're most grateful to you all. And today you can see the smiles on the faces of the kids on campus. It's been wonderful. They're so excited, and SASE is back to its glory days. So thanks to all those who made it possible. Thanks to all members of NEC for their support, and thanks to all our donors once more.
Soba America's gift of a state-of-the-art band and orchestra to St. Joseph's College SASE was truly a remarkable thing. It puts St. Joseph's College SASE in prime position to regain its place and prestige as the leading band in Southwest region. SASE College can once again be the beacon of excellence and source of pride and grandeur during March Past at Youth Day and Independence Day celebrations. The bugle can once again sound near the Boya Mountain, high above the sea in SASE College. That's our program for today. Join us again soon for another exciting edition of St. Joseph's College SASE Corner. Until then, I am your host, Clifford Ako.
Welcome to another feature presentation from Soba America TV Network. I am your host, Njukeng Asong. In today's edition, we will take a look at the upcoming U.S. presidential elections slated for November 3rd. We'll look at the stakes in this election and discuss ways in which Sobans and other Cameroonians who are U.S. citizens can exercise their civic duty and vote in November's elections. Every 4 years, Americans go to the polls to elect a president. In November of 2016, in what was truly unprecedented and remarkable election cycle, the United States of America elected a political newcomer called Donald J. Trump as the new president. Flash forward 4 years later, and in 2020, the version is no less strange or unique, albeit perhaps for completely different reasons, because the COVID landscape has changed everything. The world has now seen what 4 years of Donald J. Trump presidency looks like. Race and gender equality are forefront and center of the agenda. An economic recession, the likes of which the world has never seen, is not just at the doorsteps, but has ramped its way into the House, gone through the corridor, and has changed itself in the sofa. Given all this, it is easy to forget what a stark choice the U.S. electorate has in this election season, and what is at stake. What will be won or lost if either politician wins? With China and Russia looming large for varying and different reasons, how would the election of either politician likely affect the international landscape? What, and to what extent, is hanging in the balance?
The devastated economy which emerges from a post-pandemic context will be an uphill struggle for both parties, and it's about neither is likely to win in the short term. Less severe recessions and even the Great Depression were not overcome in a few short years. The truth is that whoever wins, massive governmental investment and infrastructural builds to stimulate the environment are certain. The only question is where this will be targeted, a point both parties certainly disagree on. Notwithstanding, Biden is unlikely to pursue the Green New Deal proposed by the left of his party, so perhaps there is less space between the two candidates in this area than they would like to admit. The Black Lives Matter movement, although founded in 2013, has seemingly reached a critical mass and gained the nationwide attention in the US it has been demanding for years. Between systematic racism, discrimination, and police brutality, tensions in the streets of many cities run high on both sides of the political spectrum. Race is likely to feature front and center of the election cycle, with the incumbent consistently ready to cross lines to stoke the base of his electorate, and the challenger Joe Biden having mass support across the African American community. Gender in the USA, and in particular gender equality, continues to be resurgent, and the issue has only been heightened over the past 4 years with the emergence of the Me Too movement, highlighted by the most powerful man in the country having what might be termed a checkered history with women and the women's movement. Notwithstanding, Biden is not clear of more than blame, accusations of inappropriate touching being claims which have been hard to shift. Biden's nomination of Kamala Harris as vice presidential candidate, however, not only the first woman, but the first Black South Asian woman in such a position, has broken a glass ceiling of sorts and is being celebrated by women across the country. In 2016, women voted overwhelmingly against then-candidate Trump, and given events during first term, this time around, that protest vote may hurt the Republican candidate even more. In the last 4 years, Donald Trump has made more than 400 executive orders on immigration. He continues to talk about and push forward with his plans to build a wall between the U.S. and Mexico border. Although the construction is going slower than he originally planned, and he has set the lowest refugee admission ceiling from 50,000 in fiscal year 2017 to 18,000 in fiscal year 2020. Long gone are the days when even conservative Republicans could talk about the importance of fluid border, as did Reagan and Bush Sr. in the 80s. The landscape has both literally and metaphorically changed, and the southern border is one of the most publicized and politicized areas in the U.S., a fact which is unlikely to change. Should Trump achieve a second term in office, it will be emboldened to pursue this line of policy and even accelerate it, whereas Biden's success with its attendant to Latino support would undoubtedly wholly alter the course around this most contentious issue, although to what extent we can only wait and see. The international landscape. The U.S. has never been more America first than during Trump's first term in office. Traditional allies have often been ignored, whilst personal meetings and friendships with controversial world leaders prioritized. At the same time, existing agreements have been annulled with some notable exceptions in the case of, for instance, Israel, with the U.S. Embassy moving to contested Jerusalem. The clear daylight between the two candidates as regards to international landscape can essentially be seen as a continuation of the go-in-alone personal policy making of the Trump administration, as opposed to the Biden presidency, which will place the U.S. once again in a broad groupings and alliances. And what to say of Russia and Russia's interference? This strangest of issues looms larger than ever without anyone really able to point to what happened, what continues to happen, and what this means for the future of democracies everywhere.
Take action. Make your voice heard. Vote. According to the Pew Research Center, Africans made up to 36% of the total foreign-born black population in 2015, up from 24% in 2000 and just 7% in 1980. That number is only rising. Many suburbs in the US and Canada fall in this category. If we learn one thing from 2016 presidential elections, it is that every vote matters, and that the election was decided by a razor-thin margin in key battleground states. This election may shape up to be the same, and your vote may just be the deciding factor to who occupies the White House come January 2021, and how the next 4 years will be. Soba America TV network encourages all Sobans and Africans eligible to vote to make their voices heard. The voter experience may be very different from state to state. Here is a breakdown of some important considerations as you plan your vote.
The COVID-19 pandemic has created unprecedented challenges in 2020 elections. Mail-in voting has emerged to be a point of contention largely because of unproven allegations of widespread fraud by President Trump. Many states have already expanded access to mail-in voting in the past few months, partly in recognition of recommendations by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Most Americans may heed that advice. Here are the steps to take to vote by mail or absentee ballot in the 2020 elections. Register to vote. Visit vote.gov or your state election website to register to vote or to confirm your registration. Depending on your state, the registration deadline could be as much as 30 days before the elections. Many states don't require you to register first to apply for an absentee ballot, but it makes the process easier. Check your state's rules and deadlines. States are making it easier for voters to cast their ballot by mail this year, but it's important to check your state's election guidelines as rules vary from mail-in voting. Many states are continuing to update their policies. Visit healthyvoting.org for up-to-date information and note these two basic systems already in place. Universal vote by mail. 5 states currently have a universal vote by mail system: Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. Send all registered voters a ballot well ahead of Election Day. California, Nevada, New Jersey, and Vermont also recently passed measures to ensure every voter gets a vote by mail ballot, whether they apply for one or not. Voters from these states, however, can still choose to cast a ballot at an in-person vote center during the early voting period or on Election Day. Absentee voting. All other states offer mail-in absentee voting, which requires registered voters to register an absentee ballot. 2/3 of states do not require an excuse to vote absentee, while the other 1/3 require an approved excuse. This year, due to the coronavirus pandemic, some of these states have added coronavirus precautions as an approved excuse to vote by mail, or they have switched to become no excuse required states. Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Kentucky, Missouri, New Hampshire, New York, and West Virginia are allowing all voters to cite COVID-19 as a reason to cast their ballot by mail for the general election. Massachusetts and Delaware have eliminated the excuse requirement altogether for the November election. Some states also have a permanent absentee ballot list. Voters who ask to be added to the list will automatically receive an absentee ballot for all future elections. Request an absentee ballot as soon as possible. Be forewarned, election administrators are expecting a surge in absentee ballot applications this fall. We are encouraging people to request their ballots as early as possible this year because we don't want the postal system to be overloaded. It's important to remember that absentee ballot applications must be received by the deadline, not just postmarked by the deadline. Visit your state election or Secretary of State's website to request your absentee ballot. Some states allow voters to request their absentee ballot online, and some offer downloaded PDF forms, while others link to a third-party site that provides this service. And again, it is crucial that you check deadlines for absentee ballot applications. Some states require that applications be received weeks in advance of the election. According to Brown, visit healthyvoting.org or your state's election website to check your state's deadlines. Vote, and don't forget to sign the envelope. Want to receive your absentee ballot? Check that everything is printed correctly. If there are issues with your ballot or if it's damaged, contact your state's election office to request a replacement. Some states may request you return the original absentee ballot first. Read the instructions. Mark your ballot with a blue or black ink pen. Refold it. Place it in the return envelope. Sign the declaration or oath on the envelope carefully and legibly, and seal. Some states, such as North Carolina and Wisconsin, require a witness signature or notary for absentee ballots. But due to the pandemic, some may modify or waive that requirement this year. South Carolina, for example, usually requires absentee voters get a witness or notary to sign their ballot. But in June, a federal judge ruled that the requirement could put voters' health at risk and suspended it for the state's primary that month. If you still need a witness or notary to vote by mail in your state, wear a mask or face covering and practice physical distancing by stepping in and stepping back during your interaction. Visit your state's election or Secretary of State's website to find out about special options for virtual witness or notary services and for any other updated requirements. Turn in your absentee ballot carefully and on time. In most states, postage is covered to make mailing back your completed absentee ballot easy. Most also require that your ballot be postmarked on or before election day. But if you choose instead to return your ballot at the mailbox or official drop-box, often located in the library, school, or vote center, be safe. Practice physical distancing, wear a mask, and wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds before and after you drop off your ballot. Track your vote by mail ballot. Checking in on the status of your absentee ballot has grown easier in places where ballot tracking systems are in place. Some states have created online tools that allow voters to track their vote by mail ballot through the system and process. California, for example, offers Where's My Ballot? Tracker that allows voters to track and receive notifications on the status of their vote by mail ballot, including when it's mailed, received, and counted. Arizona, Massachusetts, and Michigan also offer ballots by mail status tracker. Change your mind and want to vote in person instead? If you haven't returned your absentee ballot, you can still vote in person. Just make sure you know the location of your polling station. Bring a photo ID if your state requires it, and the absentee ballot with you if you can, as it may help streamline the process for election administrators. Early in-person voting. The CDC also recommends early voting, where possible, to avoid crowds. These early voting charts list timeframes for states that offer these services. Consider voting at off-peak times, such as mid-morning to early afternoons. And don't forget to practice physical distancing, cover your face, and clean your hands before and after voting to keep everyone safe. The time period for early voting varies from state to state. The date on which early voting begins may be as early as 45 days before elections or as late as the Friday before the elections. The average starting time for early voting is 22 days before the elections. Early voting typically ends just a few days before election day. Early voting periods ranges length from 4 days to 45 days, The average length is 19 days. Of the states that allowed early in-person voting, 24 and the District of Columbia allows some weekend early voting. Saturday, 20 states plus the District of Columbia provide for voting on Saturday. 4 additional states, California, Kansas, Vermont, and Massachusetts, leave it up to county clerks who may choose to allow Saturday voting. Delaware and Virginia will also include Saturday voting when the laws go into effect. Sunday, 5 states, Alaska, Illinois, Maryland, New York, and Ohio, allow for Sunday voting. 5 states to be open on Sundays. Florida mandates early voting must begin including Sunday, the 10th day, and the 3rd day prior to election for state and federal elections. Local election officials also have the discretion to allow early voting on Sunday prior to the election. Delaware will also include Sunday voting when the law goes into effect in 2021. Visit www.vote.org or your state election website for specific information about your state. Vote on election day. If you cannot or choose not to vote by mail or vote early, you can cast your vote on election day. Poll closings vary from state to state. It is important that you visit your state's election website to find out your polling station and closing time for your state. I often use cliche when elections come around to say that the current vote is the most important in our lifetimes. Well, this time, it might just be about right. You can have a say in this election. If you are a U.S. citizen, don't forget to exercise your civic duty. That is our feature presentation for this month. Please come back next month to join us for another feature presentation of Soba America TV Network. Until then, I am your host, Njukeng Asong.